Hello, and welcome back, family, to my channel. My name is Huddy, and tonight we're talking New York by Night. As always, this video is not scripted, and these opinions are mine and mine alone. Just a quick disclaimer before we start, some of you may know that I am a community ambassador for World of Darkness, and so any teasers that you might see for upcoming episodes of New York by Night were likely made by me, meaning I did have early access, but I recorded my thoughts, or at the very least wrote down some bullet points before moving on to the next episode. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about Season 1, Episode 6, When I Am Hungry, shall we? Before we start with the episode, can we just get some commotion going for Abrea's snakebite piercing necklace? Was that all working on you through the screen too? Also, while Jason was giving the rundown of the previous episode, he said there was an impromptu ghouling, and I just know that Justin Achille, the World of Darkness creative director's ears were burning because he does not like it when ghoul is used as a verb. Maybe that's just funny to me. The night continues from the last at the Cage, Richter's club, where the season began, after the coterie received a text to meet Richter there. Consuela meets them at the entrance, and Fuego is effortless as always and playfully gives Ray a nudge with her elbow as if to say, play nice. I love their dynamic so much. It's full of tension and playful flirting and danger. Yes, spoon feed me more of that. Consuela claims to not know why Richter asked them to be there, but she does inform them that the pit is open tonight, and Ray offhandedly asks if Airbox is going to be fighting. Ray, no. Bad Ray. Consuela leads them up to the office where Richter and Lizzie are, along with a new face, someone named Mario, who exits, but not before giving Ray a firm handshake and congratulating him on going toe-to-toe with Airbox in episode 2. Kindred spirits or something more? Richter wastes no time and immediately wants to know about the monster terrorizing his turf. Isaac explains about Kat's interference and that the monster escaped and caused an accident on the bridge. Richter is aware of that since it made the news, which is just so bad, and eventually figures out that the monster is in fact a wight, causing Lizzie to take an intense interest in the conversation. Richter tells the coterie to solve the problem, suggesting using fire, but if they make it his problem, it'll get solved, but at some unknown cost to the coterie. Richter goes on to talk more about the final death of Boss Callahan and makes the claim that Torque, who is styling himself Callahan's successor, is making kissy faces at the Camarilla, which is something we did discuss back in episode 2's recap, which you can watch here. Isaac casually asks about any West Coast Anarchs in the area, clearly thinking of their meeting with Annabelle, and Richter claims to not know much, but that he has heard of Baron Victor Temple claiming California as an Anarch free-for-all, and he's heard that some Free State radicals are in town talking to Torque. Before they leave the office, Richter and Fuego share a few more flirtatious interactions, causing Consuela to once again vibrate with barely controlled rage, which encourages Fuego to perform a little social warfare, staring her down, daring her to look away first. With a critical success, and then some, Fuego is the clear winner, with Consuela even offering to take them down to the pit. In the elevator, Seraph asks Consuela about the person they heard locked in the tanning booth in episode 2. Consuela tells them that it was someone named Jerry who stole and led a hunter to another kindred, alerting at least some of the coterie that there are humans who know what they are and want to destroy them. They all get out on the pit level, and it looks the same as before, like a fighting ring, but this time the bleachers are full of kindred. The coterie notice two familiar kindred, Francis, one of the members of the band The Bronx Cheer, and Simone, the kindred who had a herd of vessels that Isaac and Seraph partook of in episode 2. We learned that not only is she a member of the Ministry, but she is played by the lovely Sephi Valentine, known on social media as Persephoroth, and I can't imagine a better representation of the clan. The Ministry, formerly known as the Followers of Set, have underwent a name change or a rebranding, if you will, in modern nights. At one time, acolytes of the Egyptian god Set, who they believe to be their founder, now they are his living church. Set is in the clan is in Set, therefore you cannot follow what is now inside of you. Members of the Ministry know their way around human desires in all their forms, but do not seek to corrupt those around them. No. What we call corruption, they call liberation. For how can you be free if you do not give into your vices in order to conquer them in whatever form conquering takes? If you want to know more about the Ministry and the Followers of Set, you can watch my video about them here. Seraph decides to greet Francis in the most Ravnos way possible, sending an illusion of a piece of graffiti that says hi. Isaac and Fuego, with awe activated, slide into the VIP booth to chat with Simone, while Ray stays behind to watch the fight, which appears to be two ghouls in an MMA-style match, something which Ray takes great interest in, considering he now has a ghoul out there somewhere. Ray also claims to want to absorb as much info about other kindred through the fighting as possible in order to not have to ask Isaac about stuff stuff anymore, which, come on, Ray. Isaac has been super accommodating. Don't do the Vatty like that. In the VIP room, Fuego, Isaac, and Simone share an exchange about unlife that I couldn't possibly adequately capture in this recap, but it was so beautiful. Steffi Valentine does an amazing job, especially talking about how vampires should live, a common theme this coterie keeps hearing about, and yet the answer is always different depending on who's talking to them. Love that for them. Eventually, one of the vessels asks Fuego for a kiss, but she politely refuses, much to the amusement of Simone, who questions Isaac and Fuego on why they were embraced. When questioned about her line of questioning, Simone responds with that usually those who are embraced were those who were the most interesting in life, a curiosity not to be overlooked, and she wants them to entertain her with what they have done with their unlives. Damn, the guests in this series have been so phenomenal. Before this episode, if you had asked me who was my favorite, it would have been Kat, Shane Easton, hands down. But Steffi Valentine may have snatched the top spot because I was mesmerized the whole time she was on screen. Isaac tells Simone about the white roaming their neighborhood, which doesn't seem to interest her very much, and Fuego astutely realizes that the best way to entertain Simone is to encourage her to talk about herself, which I could listen to her all night personally, and asks Simone how she cultivates such a following, and in true ministry fashion, she proclaims that as long as they love her, adore her, and meet her needs, she will reply in kind to them. Seraph, meanwhile, asks Francis about being from LA, since she heard Annabelle say that she knew him after seeing a poster for the Bronx Cheer. Francis is a bit dodgy about the question, just saying that people are more free there. Seraph then asks about how the Bronx Cheer made everybody vibe that night they played, and Francis says that he's a thin blood and talks about how he can throw a bunch of household items into his own blood and make himself fly, and playfully asks Seraph if she can fly. I loved watching Abrea's reactions while Jason was talking, by the way. I swear she needs to turn that awe off sometimes, but I ain't complaining. Seraph offers Francis her spray can and asks if he wants to try and do something cool with it, to which Francis happily agrees. Francis then brags about going for morning coffee, which was just so uncalled for, Francis, man, damn. Francis asks Seraph to introduce him to her friends, specifically pointing out the guy in the fancy suit watching the fights, indicating Ray. Seraph seems hesitant, but Francis says something interesting to her, and I quote, "As my friend Lizzie says, claim your crown or claim your grave." An interesting phrase we have heard before, specifically in episode 2, when Fuego's beast whispered that command in her ear. Either way, Seraph drags Francis unceremoniously to the VIP room, which does not please Simone one bit. Francis agrees to go, but not before telling her, "I'll remember this." Not one to let another have the last word, Simone activates the presence power enchantment, which focuses an unnatural allure on a single person, instilling in them rapt fascination and infatuation akin to falling head over heels in love or meeting one's idol. Francis immediately eats his own words and leaves, claiming to do anything to make Simone happy. Seraph profusely apologizes, but Simone waves it away, as Ray, perhaps a bit reluctantly, decides to join his coterie in the VIP booth. Continuing an inquiry into these fresh licks, Simone asks Ray what he thinks the difference is between serving others and serving oneself. Ray responds by saying that the two aren't mutually exclusive, claiming that suffering is inevitable in life, that every choice made now results in suffering of some kind in this new venture of vampirism. Simone perceptively tells Ray that suffering is nothing new. They suffered as mortals, they'll suffer as kindred. The difference is, suffering needlessly is not necessary, claiming when she was embraced, she showed everyone she was not a tool to be used. Rather, she was the hammer, and she passes that autonomy down to all who follow and serve her. Chills. Absolute chills with every line. I literally can't do it justice here. Simone gives the coterie her card with a number and an address to one of her compounds, as she calls them. When the last match is called, Ray immediately stands up and heads down to the pit and forces his way into the ring against a Nosferatu, the standing champion of the night, having sent a few kindred into torpor with curving tusks instead of fangs. I was so captivated by Steffi Valentine that this came totally out of left field for me, and I was screaming, "No, Ray, no, bad Ray!" Fuego follows him down and holds onto his suit jacket, at least that's safe for the time being, while Isaac, Simone, and Seraph voice their doubts about Ray's ability to last very long in this fight. And to the surprise of likely no one, Joey's first round of dice rolling does not go in Ray's favor, and he comes away with a bestial failure, resulting in Ray succumbing to a feral state, scales breaking out along his skin, eyes growing dark like a shark's, and the teeth in his mouth multiplying and elongating, the result of the Gangrel clan bane. Also, I have to mention Isaac leaning forward and smiling with rapt tension at the transformation. Alex is so very good at capturing these little moments for his characters. Simone decides to intervene with the presence power Eyes of the Serpent, which is usually intended to freeze a mortal in place, but can be used against other vampires at the risk of their eventual ire. It's successful, and the Nosferatu's attention is on Simone and Simone alone, essentially paralyzed, and in response, and with the beast at the wheel, Ray decides to sink his massive teeth into the Nosferatu and begin draining him. If I was screaming when Ray went down to the pit, I was screeching at this action. Seraph jumps into the ring and attempts to get Ray off of the Nosferatu, along with other patrons of the fight. Fuego joins the fray as well, who attempts to make eye contact with her coterie mate. Isaac, as earlier in the night in the parking garage of the Crescent, does not make any move to engage in the violence, going so far as to discourage Simone from intervening further, claiming his coterie mates need to learn their lessons, one way or another. As Ray savors the Kindred Vitae, Seraph is not successful in stopping the feeding, but Ray is. He takes aggravated willpower damage to master himself and possibly saving his own soul from a near diablerie. Ray starts screaming Russell Crowe gladiator style, asking the crowd if they are entertained. Some are, but others claim he cheated, citing Seraph and Simone for assisting him. And Ray shouts at Seraph, telling her that he didn't ask for her help, to which she responds by making a swift exit out of the ring. Simone leaves the VIP box and meets the coterie, who are gathered in and around the ring, but is interposed by Consuela, who does not concede to Simone telling her to shoo, and therefore is subjected, just as Francis, to her entrancement, and quickly turns on her heel, but not before telling everyone that the pit is now closed. Simone tells Ray that much can be learned from failure, as well as handing Fuego a package wrapped in purple and gold, claiming that a mutual acquaintance asked her to pass it off to Fuego. Inside is a 9mm pistol with a note containing a single letter, R, likely representing the name of her Camarilla sire, Rafferty. The night ends with the coterie departing, leaving Seraph to meet up with Francis and do a little alchemic spray painting. If you haven't already, please go follow The World of Darkness on Twitch and YouTube, and if you can, sub to those channels as well. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to me and let me know your thoughts on Episode 6, When I Am Hungry, in the comments. As always, I'll see you in the next one.